Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. This is going to be a fun video to do. I'm getting to talk about two knives that I absolutely love and that I think are extremely comparable. Okay, that's why we're doing a comparison video, because these knives, I really sincerely think that if you're looking at one, you ought to consider the other. This is the Cold Steel American Lawman, and this is the Cold Steel Ultimate Hunter. Both of these I would class as, you know, just practical, tough, durable user knives. I would put them, they're both very similar in price point, especially now with the CTSX HP. Now, let me just say, this is an AUS 8 American Lawman, but we're going to pretend like they have the same steel, because now, if you're going to buy it now, they do. Okay? So, both very practical, both very usable. The price point on these is both around $100. These American Lawmans can be had just under $100. These Ultimate Hunters can be had just over $100. And you should shop around. I've seen them as high as $120, and I've seen them down closer to $105, $110. So be aware, both of those prices are, you know, I'm not telling you the best price out there. So, you know, do your own due diligence on that. Again, now one other thing, both these are Andrew Demko designs, and both of these are highly recommended by me. You know, I kind of have a list of knives that I feel like if someone asks me, hey, I just want a great knife that is reliable and durable, what would you recommend? I keep some knives aside that are on that list of just really practical, really useful blades that no one really is going to be disappointed in, and I think these two fall into that category. Now, I want to share with you very quickly two other knives that I put there, even though this video is not about this. Ontario Utilitac would give you similar usefulness. It's not quite as tough and durable, but much cheaper, okay? And very durable. It's the same construction as the Rat Model 1. So people often talk about how well built the Rat Model 1 is, and this is literally the exact same materials, exact same design in terms of the construction internally. All right. Another option, if you don't like cold steel, you want to go a different way, as just a really practical user, would be the Manix 2 or the Manix 2 XL. Okay. So let's get back to the knives we really want to talk about, the American Lawman and the Ultimate Hunter, and we'll start kind of going through the list, okay, and talking about which one pulls ahead in the various categories that I normally use when reviewing folding knives. Okay, we're going to start with the American Lawman each time because it's been around longer, so, you know, age before beauty. Let's go ahead with this one with the size and weight. So size on this is 8 1/8 inches, all right? The blade on this is 3 3/8, and the handle is 4 3/4. Weighs in at 5.4 ounces, which is a little heavy for its size, but certainly not bad. And it carries really well. It's not quite a full 1/2 inch thick, okay? So it's quite comfortable in pocket. Now, the size and weight on, for some reason I can't close this all of a sudden, size and weight on the Ultimate Hunter is 8 1/2 inches overall, which, you know, that's a little nicer to me. 8 1/2 inches, 3 1/2 inch blade, 5 inch handle. It is a little more than 1/2 inch thick, okay? So this is slightly more noticeable in pocket, but not obtrusively so, okay? The weight on this is an exceptionally good 4.9 ounces. Now, you know, it's not the end of the world in terms of, you know, this is the best weight to size ratio that's ever happened. There are other knives that beat it. One that springs to mind right away is the Military, but it is very good. You know, an 8 1/2 inch knife for under 5 ounces is good. That's an achievement. All right, so which one comes out ahead in size and weight? I've got to give it to the Ultimate Hunter, because of the fact that you're getting more knife, even more blade length, more handle real estate for comfort, and you're getting all of that at a less weight. So when it comes to, you're actually able to carry less and get more, which for me is a big win. Let's move down to the blade, and again, I'm going to keep going back to the American Lawman first, okay? So blade on this, as we mentioned, 3 3/8 inches. Now, the cutting edge is only 3 inches, okay? So that's a little short for its size. Remember, you've got this choil, and that choil is extremely comfortable and useful. I use this knife a lot just like this, so I wouldn't give up that choil to gain more cutting edge ever. Okay, that would not be a good idea. I think this design is absolutely great. And the other thing that I think is absolutely great about this, now CTX XHP steel, both of these are CTX XHP, is a great steel. I find it's a little harder to sharpen than D2, but it does hold that edge very well. It performs a little better. I feel like, I'm going to use this term smooth, I don't know if that makes sense, but I find it to be a little smoother than S30V. I find it a little tougher. And so, great steel, okay? Holds an edge really well. It's good and tough. It's stainless. Really hard to beat. Now, this knife is not CTS XHP, but if you buy an American Lawman today, you'll be buying one in CTS XHP. That's the new production blade steel, okay? Hollow grind on this is phenomenal, all right? Now, this blade is the thing that really draws me to this knife. I love the belly, I love the shape, I love the sort of drop point, almost leaning toward a spear point style blade. It's got a very deep hollow grind, which means the edge geometry here is amazing. It's so thin that this thing just slices like very few other blades can do, okay? Really good slicer. Shaves hair, it takes a great edge. And so the blade on this I just love. Even though it's a little bit shorter, you're going to get most things done that you need to get done with a 3-inch blade, okay? Now, I have stripped this one off. They do come factory. There's not the option to have this in plain steel. They come factory with a Teflon coating, which is terrible. I haven't heard any reports, and if you have, go ahead and comment below with if it's cold steel, when they upgraded the steel, if they changed the coating. I hope they did. I haven't got any of the black coated blades from Cold Steel for this year. All right, let's switch over to the Ultimate Hunter. Now, the Ultimate Hunter is probably a little more of a traditional blade style, maybe not quite as cool looking as this, but very practical. Okay, this design is all around strength and utility. It's a flat ground blade, which means the edge has more steel. It doesn't slice as well, but it's going to be a little more durable than the hollow grind on the American Lawman. Both have the same blade stock, or the thickness of the blade. The point on the Ultimate Hunter, again, is thicker. There's more steel here. Therefore slightly more durable, okay, and you do get more cutting edge, okay, and that makes sense. You've got a 3 3/8 inch blade, and you've got a 3.5 inch blade. You would expect more cutting edge, and you do. This guy gives you 3 1/4 inches, and this gives you 3 inches. Now, are that 1/4 inches at the end of the world? I don't think so. So how do we compare these two blades? Well, for me, as an EDC blade, okay, I would say the American Lawman has a better blade because of that hollow grind. You guys know I like hollow grinds. I just find the performance for actual cutting tasks, which is generally what we do with our knives, to be a lot better from a hollow ground blade than a flat ground, especially when it's flat ground like this. If you could narrow this out a little more and make it a little better, maybe more like a Spyderco. But in this configuration, this blade cuts well, okay, I don't have any complaints about it, but it does not cut as well as this. This thing is just a slicer like you wouldn't believe. Okay, so on the blade, I've got to give it to the American Lawman. Now this is a modification, okay? There is room for your finger up here, even if you don't do the modification that the Apostle did. This finger choil does not come stock. I helped this finger choil out with a grinder. All right, this of course does come stock this way. And so one last point that I guess should be made is I do find the American Lawman nicer, a little bit nicer for detailed work than the Ultimate Hunter, just in terms of blade shape. Okay, so blade shape goes to the American Lawman. What about the lock? Well, it's a triad lock. Just the strongest lock that you're going to find out there. I'm sure everyone is getting mad at Cold Steel for the testing videos. In fact, I had a friend, maybe you're watching this, and they tested his particular knife. It's a knife that he really likes, and of course, it didn't do that well in Cold Steel's test. And he was like, "Oh, come on, this sucks." It should be pointed out that those tests are not the end-all and be-all. right? A lock on a folding knife is not meant to turn it into a fixed blade. It's just meant to protect you from the odd time where you accidentally do something with the back of the blade, okay? Do I think those tests are cool? Yes, I do. It's interesting to see all those numbers, and it's especially interesting because I don't have to use my own knife to test all that. Somebody else can foot the bill. But the Triad lock just is an amazingly strong lock, okay? So there's no question. It's just ridiculous how strong this lock is. And I would say with confidence, if your primary concern in a folding knife is a very strong lock, look no further than the Triad lock. They both have it, so there's no comparison purposes there. All right, what about the handle? So the American Lawman handle is very ergonomic, very comfortable, extremely grippy. You know, this sort of brick pattern that Cold Steel has done for many years, many people have talked about, it's grippy, okay? To the point that it will tear up your pants like crazy when you're putting the knife in and out of your pocket, sliding it under this clip. It is very grippy. Does have a couple of nice big choils which make it extremely ergonomic. However, my complaint about this knife, and it's been there for a long time, because of the size of my hands, look what happens if I take a sort of a normal grip on this knife. You see that even in a more hammer fist grip, there's very little pommel here. You know, I don't have much room for my whole hand to fit on this knife handle. And so it's comfortable, it's extremely grippy, it's totally functional, but it's not quite big enough. If you literally just add like 1/4 of an inch to this, it would be a lot better. And so along comes the Ultimate Hunter, which has added a little more than 1/4 of an inch, okay? And so because of that, notice when I grip this knife, I've still got lots of room. In fact, I could even choke down on this if I wanted extra reach for some reason. Really anything that I'm trying to get at, you know, maybe I'm cutting a large box apart and I want to reach out there. Of course, in a defensive situation or offensive, I suppose, that reach is nice. And so, yeah, I definitely prefer the handle on the Ultimate Hunter. It is 3D machined, so it's even more comfortable. You know, this is comfortable. This is even more comfortable. This does have the option of choking up to do fine work, which is really, really cool. You know, I gotta say, I like that. Now, as I said, this is a modification done by me. You can watch my video or the Apostle's video to see. The Apostle P describes this, creating this little choil in a little more detail. And so for me, this knife is considerably more comfortable in terms of the handle itself. It's smooth G10, but it's still very, very grippy. And so that's the way these handles compare. This one is bigger and rounder, and although both are comfortable, this one is very comfortable. This one is just comfortable. All right. Both have a good lanyard hole. Both have the clip movable from left side and right side tip up carry, which is completely acceptable. That's kind of what most of us look for. You know, the odd guy wants to carry tip down, but anyway, that kind of describes, that's how these two compare. So the last point on the handle, I think the Ultimate Hunter takes it. Now, how do these, you know, overall, just general impressions of these two blades, I've got to say this, these are both exceptionally good blades. And I think, you know, whichever one, if you're trying to pick one, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with one over the other. Now, I would question, I have two, and I really like both. They're very similar, okay? They're very close in usefulness. They're very close in their role. So maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense to own both of these other than the fact they're just iconic Cold Steels, or at least the American Lawman is. So, you know, if you're a collector, you probably should own an American Lawman. But in terms of actual performance, they are quite close. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed by either one of them. However, for me, because of the size at the full 8.5 inches, because of the comfort of the handle, I'll sacrifice that extra cutting power that comes from the hollow ground blade. And for me, in an out-and-out comparison, the Ultimate Hunter gets the nod as the winner in this kind of showdown that we've been doing here. But that's for me, okay? You may be different. Maybe you prefer a slightly smaller knife. Maybe you prefer a shorter blade, or the extra control that comes from that only 3 inches. Maybe you do a lot of slicing. Many of us do in our EDC tasks. So you may still prefer the American Lawman. I hope that comparison has been interesting to you, that it's helped you out if you're looking at one or both of those knives. I really like both, and I would highly recommend either one of them. All right. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.